Today, I'm shooting with the Viltrox 35mm f1.2 LAB, and I'm gonna walk you through how I use this lens for portraits and composition. From using leading lines to capturing natural rim light, I'll show you why this focal length is one of my favorite storytelling lenses. Let's cover todo el pedo. For this first spot, the biggest inspiration for this entire shoot was the location. Right away, I noticed how much color there was to work with, and that's usually the first thing that sparks my creativity when planning a shoot. Here we had this rainbow of color in the background, and Debony nailed it with the blue outfit that tied perfectly into the scene. Once the location was set, I shifted my focus to capture depth and perspective. And that's where the Viltrox 35mm f1.2 LAB really shines. With this focal length, I can work the composition and let the environment become part of the story. In this frame, the vertical lines from the building guide the eyes and add structure to the shot. This is why I call the 35mm a storytelling lens. Whenever I want to highlight the location, as much as the subject, this lens is my go-to. Another detail I loved here was how the blue outfit complemented the blue sky. It brought everything together in a way that felt natural and cohesive. Now, one quick tip when shooting with a 35mm lens, you want to be mindful of distortion. If you get too close, facial features can stretch. Personally, I like to keep my distance capturing from a 3/4 to a full body shot. That way, I get all the storytelling elements of the scene without the unwanted warping. Of course, if distortion is the look you're going for, you can definitely lean into that. And that's why the 35mm focal length is such a versatile lens. It lets you play with perspective, tell a story, and show off the environment while still keeping the subject the main element of the frame. For this next series, I wanted to bring in even more color. So I positioned Debony closer to the wall, right where the lines and pattern really pop. By doing this, those repeating lines became leading lines, pulling your eyes upward and guiding the viewer straight into the sky. So here, I want to just go crazy with the entire color now. Now I just want color, color, color. I want her interacting with it now. So I am just getting a little bit of the sky now, but I just want to go color crazy here. It reminds me of Mario Kart. Remember that Rainbow Road, guys? Remember that? That's what this reminds me of here. I don't know about you guys, but I was all about Toad. Koopa Troopa. You, Marco? What were you about?
Yoshi, bro.
Yoshi? Oh, man. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, and 3. Now let's talk about the lighting. The sun was coming from the same direction I was shooting. Without any modifiers, that would have given me hard, contrasty light. And while that's not always a bad thing, I wanted control over the look. That's where the setup comes in. My friend David held up a diffuser to soften the sunlight, and then I added a strobe. The diffuser gave me soft light to work with, and the strobe gave me the direction and consistency. Together, they let me shape the light exactly the way I wanted. And that right there is the power of off-camera flash. You're not just stuck with what the natural light gives you. You can create the exact mood and quality of light you envision. For this next series, my friend Marco gave me a great idea. Up until now, I had been shooting with the sun facing the subject, diffusing it to soften the light. But this time, we flipped it. I placed the sun behind the subject, and instantly it created a natural rim light. That rim light wraps around and helps separate the subject from the background, giving the portrait more depth and dimension. All right, for this last series, Marco, he's a smart man, by the way, guys. If you don't know Marco, he's a smart man. He brought up a good point. We had been using the sun coming, we were shooting towards the sun, right, this whole time. And now we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna have the sun behind Debony now. So that way you guys can see the difference when we have the sun behind and when the sun's in front of the subject. So we're gonna get a couple of that series right now. I'm gonna have Debony stand in the sun. One of the advantages of shooting in the sun is that she's gonna get a natural rim light. So look at that nice little glow there. We're gonna bring in that light and we're gonna get some photos and then let me know what you guys think. Awesome, that's one of the good things about shooting with the sun behind is you get that natural rim light, and you could just use one light and you get that like 2-light effect. I like shooting at a low angle here. This will elongate it, gives it a more of an editorial vibe. Again, the word of the day, elongated. Elongated. Now I want to hear from you, which look do you prefer? Do you like the setup where the sun was in front of the subject with the diffuser, or do you prefer the glow and separation when the sun is behind? Let me know in the comments.
One of the first things once I find the spot that I like is I look at the lighting, looking at the ambient, what kind of quality of light that we have. So if I shoot just going into the graffiti wall, it's great, but there's a little bit of a problem, or at least for my style, it could be a little bit flat. It's a little bit easier, yes, it's soft light, but I like to have that nice contrast, that richness from the lighting. So we might move her into the sidewalk here and use the sun as a natural rim light, shoot at this angle. We'll probably get some in the shade. That way you guys can see the difference of what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna do the shot first with it just being in diffused light, is that it can look a little bit flashy. So I'm gonna try to almost make it look like natural light, but just with a little pop of light. 1, 2, 3. Come around here, Marco. One little detail, the shadow from the palm tree is actually blocking her. So I wanna be aware that I still get this little rim light. That's the whole point of me putting her in the sun here. So I wanna get this rim light. I'm gonna put the light camera left. That way we get a 2 light effect here, okay? I'm gonna push this a little bit more to the side, right there. I think right there should be good, David. Let's see what this looks like, and then we'll see if we make any adjustments. I don't know about you guys. You guys can let me know in the comments, but I think I like the contrasty look, the highlights, bring the sun hitting, like it just adds just a little bit of oomph to it. Yeah. A little bit of oomph, you know?
Next, we move to a location with a completely different vibe, the kind of grungy, textured look that's become my go-to style. If you've seen my work before, you know I love shooting in spots like this. For this setup, I placed Debony where I could really highlight the shapes and textures of the background. This particular building had that rough automotive feel, and I wanted those details to come through in the shot. What stood out to me here were the windows. Not only did they bring repeating patterns, but they also catch reflections, which adds another layer of interest. When you combine textures, shapes, and reflections, you create this harmonious composition that feels much more dynamic. And here's another little tip I always keep in mind. Whenever the environment gives the subject a chance to sit, lean, or interact with it, the posing almost feels more natural. In this case, Debony sitting down allowed her to fall into a pose that fit the scene perfectly. All right, so that's how I used the Viltrox 35mm f1.2 LAB. From bold colored backgrounds to grungy textured walls, this lens gave me storytelling variety and plenty of composition options. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more lighting and lens breakdowns, and let me know in the comments what's your favorite focal length for storytelling portraits.